Hey everybody, what's up? My name is Max, and today we're going to learn how to play a basic jazz groove in 4/4 time.
A jazz groove has 4 basic parts: the hi-hat, the kick drum, the snare comping, and most importantly, the ride. In this tutorial, we'll cover the standard patterns for each part of the groove and go over the basics of improvisation on the drums.
So, let's first start with our basic jazz ride pattern. So, for every 4 beats, we're going to play our ride. So, it's going to sound like this. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to split up our beats into 1/8 notes. So what that means is we're going to take our beats and we're going to add an extra beat in between each beat, evenly spaced from the other beats. So what that sounds like is if you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, then you're going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now what we're going to do is we're going to swing these 1/8 notes. So what that means is we're going to take each 1/8 note and move it closer to the next beat. So there's going to be more space in between the beat that started the count and the 1/8 note that comes after the beat. So it's probably easier if I just show it to you, and what it's going to sound like is going to sound like this. So we go a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, just like that. So now that we've done that, we're going to put a ride cymbal on every other offbeat. So every other 1/8 note, we're going to put a ride cymbal. So that means on the ands of 2 and 4. So we're going to play it like this. It's going to sound like this. So 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4. Just like that. And that's our basic ride cymbal pattern. So the second thing that we're going to add to our jazz groove is going to be the kick drum. So what we're going to do is we're going to play the kick drum very lightly on all 4 beats of the pattern. So it's going to sound like this. This is a technique that is known as feathering, which is when you play the bass drum very softly, like a feather. And feathering is what gives a jazz groove that bouncy, like even feel. So together with our ride cymbal, it's going to sound like this. So the next element that we're going to add to our jazz groove is the hi-hat. Now, normally in most popular music contexts, you would play the hi-hat with a drumstick, like this. However, in a jazz context, there's another way that we can play our hi-hat, and that is with our foot pedal, like this. So, as you can see, by lifting our foot up and then pressing it back down again, the hi-hat cymbals come together and they make the characteristic hi-hat sound. Now, we use this in our jazz groove to give emphasis to the even beats 2 and 4. So what we're going to do is we're just going to step the heel of our foot up and down, but not play our hi-hat yet. So every beat, we're going to step our heel up and down, just like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then, on every beat 2 and 4, we're going to play the hi-hat by lifting our foot all the way off the pedal. So it looks like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. As you can see, we are stepping our foot every beat, but we're not playing the hi-hat except for on beats 2 and 4. So let's hear how it sounds with the rest of our jazz groove so far. First, we'll add back in the ride cymbal. Then, we'll add back in our bass pedal. And finally, we'll Pretty groovy, huh? So, the final thing that we're going to add to our jazz groove is going to be the snare drum. However, this is often the most difficult part of the jazz groove. So, let's start by breaking up our beats into triplets. That means there are 3 ticks in each beat and all of them are evenly spaced. So a triplet sounds like 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. Okay, now that we've subdivided our beats into triplets, we're going to take a look at our snare drum. Now, the snare drum can often be said to be the most difficult part of this basic jazz groove because it requires improvisation, which means making stuff up on your own. So, the basic premise of the snare drum is you're going to pick some of the triplets to play the snare drum on, and you're going to play them. And you can play any of the triplets that you want, and you can change them from measure to measure. So, I am going to pick some random triplets, and I'm going to play quarter notes with my right hand on the rim of the snare drum right here, and I'm going to play my triplets on the snare drum with my left hand. So, here we go. 1, 2, 3. And that was me just picking totally random snare drum triplets. I didn't prepare any of that beforehand. That was all totally improvised. So, now that we have that, we're going to add back in all the other elements of the jazz pattern. So, first we're going to start off with our jazz ride. Then feathering on the bass drum. Then the hi-hat. And finally, our snare comping. Snare comping can be one of the hardest techniques for beginner drummers to learn. However, it is one of the fundamental improvisatory techniques that jazz drummers use to make their grooves interesting. Being able to switch freely between rudiments can take a lot of time and effort. However, with enough practice, you can play jazz like the masters too. If you want to keep practicing, I've linked some resources, downloads, and other YouTube videos that you can take a look at in the description of this video below.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit like and subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates.